Hello, this is Shannon Kringen, Goddess KRING here in Seattle. And what is the date? It is September 19th, 2023. Yesterday, I had my very first colonoscopy. So I will try to stay on track in this video. I'm going to talk more slowly because I have a tendency to talk really fast. For those of you who don't know, I've been officially assessed and they say that I could be on the autism spectrum. I say could be because psychological professionals, told me that based on their testing, which involved several sessions of me being interviewed by somebody certified to assess me for autism, she spent many hours asking me questions about my childhood and my my upbringing, my family, kind of drink some water. I just woke up and I haven't had my coffee yet, and I'm drinking my electrolyte water. So my voice is a little craggy. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. So I was assessed and given lots of tests of like puzzles to solve and charts to look at. And I don't remember if they tested my math skills or just they had me do visual things where I look at colors and shapes. And there's just this whole series of ways they try to figure out how your brain works. And apparently I have a rigidity, my working memory and my rigidity of my thinking patterns is a certain way that matches. And I have extreme like sensory sensitivities, sensitive to noise. And I'm kind of a loner in terms of, I feel like I'm at my best sometimes when I'm by myself. And yet I do crave companionship. But my whole life, relationships have been harder for me. I kind of feel like I connect to people through microphones and cameras and through my artwork and through writing more easily and satisfyingly than I connect with people by just hanging out in person and making eye contact. Although I'm very affectionate, I'm very touch-oriented. Some autistic people are not very sexual or sensual or affectionate. I'm very affectionate. I love hugging people. I love having a boyfriend and hugging him. I like, making love with a guy if he's my boyfriend. I love being affectionate with hugging, family or friends. I like to hug people. And close friends of mine have given each other back massages and just been very cuddly and affectionate. And I also love animals, so I love to pet cats and dogs, and I'm very touch oriented, and I love the smell of nature, plants, animals, flowers. I'm very sensual in that way of terms of touch and smell, but I'm also very sensitive to noise, which means I love music and the sound of birds outside when I walk. But the troubling side of that is that loud parties really trigger my anger, and I get angry if I'm in a room with lots of people talking loudly. So just wanted to preface by saying the autism thing about myself, because when I say that, I'm not trying to put myself down. I'm trying to categorize myself in terms of having a kind of brain that is wired in a certain way. And there's pros and cons, just like the world needs both introverts and extroverts. I'm a little bit of both. I'm mostly introverted, I guess, like I'm inner focused on my inner world. And I like a lot of time to myself doing my own thing. And yet I like to write and then publish what I write, or make these videos and then put them on public websites. and share them with whoever wants to listen. I also, for a living, model for art classes. So I'm in front of lots of people on a platform and everyone is looking at me for the purpose of drawing and painting. And then when I work with medical students, I'm there to make a lot of eye contact and help play a role of being a patient so medical students can practice physically examining me as well as asking me questions about my symptoms, which are, fake on a script. And then they have to diagnose me. So I'm sort of acting. I'm sort of being an actor when I do that with students. And then I take care of animals, dogs and cats, dog walk, cat walk, pet sit, all of that. And so I'm working a lot with animals. And then when I do my artwork, I have an art car, a Honda Fit with rhinestones on it. So these are just some of the things. I like to do these things, and then I publicly communicate through that. So my special interests, they say, autistic people are famous for being hyper into whatever they love, which is their artwork or working with animals. So when I'm doing all these jobs, like my life is most active. Like I like to earn a living. That's partly why I love to work. But it isn't just that I'm earning money. It's that I feel connected to a community larger than myself. I'm more comfortable working than I am hanging out with friends. So a lot of my life is structured around my jobs, which is, like I said, working with medical students, working with art students as a model, as a patient, standardized patient medical model, and an art model, and working with animals. And also I do focus groups and things like that sometimes where they pay me to come and participate in a focus group or a study where we answer questions and fill out forms or questionnaires on computer screens, and then we're paid for. So I interact with people in that way, and it gives me a sense of purpose and a sense of community that I'm being useful to others. There's a reciprocation that happens. It's not just money. I'm earning money. That's practical, but it's also, I just feel a sense of purpose, and I feel like a sense of self-esteem when I do these kind of activities more than when I hang out with friends. And I'm trying to figure out how to enjoy, because I do have some nice friends in my life. So yesterday I had my first colonoscopy, and I was so scared and so terrified of it because I was afraid I didn't want to get injured by the instrument, the camera that they were inserting into me to look at my colon, but I also didn't want to be sedated. Well, I didn't want to feel, the discomfort of the exam, but I just have a fear of medications and drugs. I'm not on any medications, but in the past, I've taken antidepressants, and the ones that help, because I tend to have a tendency to have some OCD and some ADHD and some dyslexia and some anxiety and depression. Although I think anxiety is way more of a problem for me than depression in terms of clinical concerns on that. But I'm also a big lover of nature and a big lover of diet and exercise and lifestyle and nutrition and how that affects your mental health and being out in nature. So I feel euphoric when I do things that I love. And I was just listening to Rick Rubin. Okay, these are the things I want to talk about because I'm always doing improvisational monologues. I wanted to talk about Rick Rubin, the music producer that's very inspirational, and dopamine versus serotonin in your brain, and how different medications increase the dopamine that's in your brain. Or I guess all of us have dopamine and serotonin and norepinephrine, whatever that's called, in our brains, but different activities trigger more and less of it. So if you just lie on your couch all day and think negative thoughts, you're not going to have a lot of happy stuff happening in your brain chemistry. And then if you start thinking about something you love, whether it's your pet or your child or music or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your, whoever you love in your life, friends, family, whoever, you will feel happier thoughts, and that affects your brain chemistry. So your thoughts affect your brain chemistry, as well as if you get a massage, you tend to have endorphins. That's another word. Endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine. Those are like all neurotransmitters in your brain, and there's hormones in your body. Body chemistry fascinates me, and I'm not a science person. I'm more of an artistic, intuitive, improvisational, spiritual kind of person. But I do like to sit and think about doing things that make your brain feel good and make you feel happy, because living now in 2023, there's a lot of people that are arguing. There's a lot of horrible tragedies happening on the planet. There's a lot of pain and suffering. There's a lot of anger, fear, pain, suffering, all those dark things. That's real and that's there. And I don't believe in denying all of that stuff. But right now, I just want to talk about, and there's a cute dog. I see a cute dog out my window. That kind of sparks my joy. Oh, I think the glasses are all shiny, aren't they? Okay, should I take those off? No, I'd rather just, I don't know, I'll take them off, whatever. I don't need to see clear right now. Okay, so here I am. So dopamine in your brain. I'm not wearing any makeup. I just put a little lipstick on just to make myself feel a little bit more woo, wake up in the morning. Rick Rubin, music producer. Has worked with Tom Petty. He produced Tom Petty's album Wildflowers, and he produced, I think, Neil Young and AC/DC. And forgive me, I'm forgetting all the names of lots of Black artists that are cool, like hip hop Black people that are. Sorry, I don't know the names of all of the different people he's worked with, because I love Tom Petty so much. I mostly know he worked with Tom Petty, Neil Young, and AC/DC, and lots of different musicians. And but what I was going to say was dopamine and serotonin. So Rick Rubin, getting my colonoscopy, and how it all connects. Because to me, I connect the dots in different ways. Like people think I'm going on top. People sometimes when I ramble about different topics think I'm going off topic. But in my mind, I also have synesthesia, which means I mix the senses. So it would make sense that I would also mix the topics. The theme is mental health, joy, inspiration, and how everything is connected. So the reason why I got my colonoscopy is because they found microscopic. I gave them a stool sample and they found microscopic amounts of blood, and I didn't see any blood, but they said, we see something in your stool that shouldn't be there. So we recommend a colonoscopy, because I'm 54 and I don't have any family history of any problems in the colon area. But basically the bottom line is they found no polyps. They found nothing abnormal. My colon looks smooth and clean and clear and natural. And I took the laxative and I did all the protocol of how you clean your colon out, which was the difficult part. Drinking the solution, like 64 ounces, I think, of this stuff, 32 ounces the night before, another 32 ounces the morning of, and then I took 4 different tablets, laxative tablets. So that's the method they had me do, and I followed everything they said about a clear liquid diet, and I fasted, and I did, there's several different things I had to do to follow the rules to make it safe for them to put me under sedation and look in my colon with the camera. And the bottom line is it turned out that I have no polyps and no hemorrhoids and no whatever else they were looking for, inflammation or ulceration or, weird abnormalities in my blood vessels or whatever they call it. So there it is. So my colon is healthy. I still don't know why there was blood, though, in my stool sample. So I am going to actually educate myself about, hopefully, but on the day that I gave my sample, I was having an irritating I was having an irritating bathroom experience. And I was thinking, I wonder if I ate something that irritated me because this is uncomfortable. And that's the day that I chose to take the sample. So maybe that was an irritating, maybe it was just, blood from passing the bowel movement, not to be gross. And here I'm going to talk a little bit about digestion. So if that bothers you, please don't watch this video. I'm not going to say anything too graphic, but maybe that was just my own body's natural irritation when I was having that bathroom experience on that one day. as opposed to something actually wrong with me, that I'm bleeding internally for some bad reason. That's a serious problem. So they told me that they didn't see anything in my colon that was abnormal. And they said, come back in 10 years and get another one of these, unless you have symptoms or concerns that you need another one sooner. So they think, okay, 10 years. But I am going to educate myself about what I can do to make sure to take the best care, because I eat a lot of, I'm a low carb person. And I actually felt really good doing their low fiber diet, because I'm already kind of eating slightly low fiber, and I have no polyps once again. So I'm eating, I eat lots of meat. I eat venison and beef, chicken, salmon, cod, venison. Did I already say venison? Lamb, pork, chicken. I'm ordering from a company now that uses regenerative farm animals only, and I'm getting a fully pastured, grass-fed and grass-finished pastured beef, chicken, and pork from a company that I believe in, that I'm ordering from, that only charges like $10 a pound or something. And it's a certain company. If you want to know, just email me and I'll tell you. But I'm not here to promote any company. But let's just say that they work with regenerative agriculture farms in the United States, and they ship it to your door every 2. I signed up for their least expensive option, which is, I think it's $154 every 2 months. So that's basically like $75 a month for the meat that I get. And I eat a lot of sauerkraut. And so I eat meat and sauerkraut and fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds. But the foundation of my diet is proteins, eggs and fish and meat and animal foods that are full of vitamins and minerals and proteins and healthy fats, and that's what I eat. But I'm not here to ramble on about that. I'm saying that that's what I do, but I think I feel best when I eat some fruit or sauerkraut or salads with my meat, but I don't eat tons and tons of fiber and tons of carbs. And I think I had a bit of a wheat addiction years ago, and I stopped eating wheat. So now I occasionally eat a little bit of wheat, but I try not to, because I don't want to get re-addicted to it, because I tend to feel like I'm addicted when I eat wheat. So that probably triggers dopamine in the brain. Whatever it is, when you eat certain foods, it gives you that euphoric feeling. So yesterday, when I had my colonoscopy, I was very scared and I was nervous. I actually told them I'm on the autism spectrum. Not that that's an excuse for why I'm behaving like a child, but I feel like I felt like I was 10 years old, and I felt like I wanted my mommy and my daddy to be in there with me. Like I cried. I cried like a baby. I mean, not like a baby, because I wasn't loudly crying, but I quietly cried, and they handed me a tissue. They were very nice, and they tried to put me at ease, and they said, well, don't worry, we'll take care of you. You're safe. So they they put me they put an IV in, I think, in each arm. There was saline on this side. On my right side, they had saline. That to me was the hardest part, because my phobia, like when I go to the dentist, I sometimes have fainted when they give me Novocaine, and when they take a blood sample, I sometimes faint. I just feel I just feel a little bit nauseous, because for some reason I feel nauseous when they add or subtract anything to my bloodstream. I just feel insecure. And very vulnerable and fragile, and just kind of scared, I guess, afraid of death, or afraid of fainting, or afraid of letting go, or afraid of surrendering and trusting them, afraid of trusting other people are going to keep me safe. For whatever reason, I have that. Maybe that's autism, I don't know, but of feeling like I'm a loner and I need to just be independent and take care of myself, and that I don't need other people. There's this kind of that feeling in me, like I just want to do my own thing and be independent from other people. And yet I'm very affectionate. I like to be affectionate with people. So they were very nice to me. There was like 3 different people in the room. The anesthesiologist was very nice, and she explained to me how things were going to work, and that she was going to monitor my my breathing and my blood pressure and my heart rate and all those, my brain waves, whatever all the vital signs are. She was going to closely observe that and make sure that they were giving me the right dose, and that what they did, what was called a moderate sedation. And I'm not going to tell you the name of the sedative that they gave me, because I'm not here to promote or argue pro or con about any medication or sedative. But let's just say that I really had a euphoric experience on this sedative that they gave me. That's a common thing they give people for colonoscopy. And it makes you sort of, depending on how much they give you, you're half asleep. You can be fully asleep if they give you more of it. But they gave me a very moderate, I think they call it moderate dose, which means I was half asleep and half awake. And it was like in a dreamlike state. And so the last thing I remember they wheeled me in. I was very nervous, and they put the saline on this arm, and then they put the IV for the sedation and painkiller on this arm. I don't know if I had both painkiller and sedation or just sedation. I don't know, but this was for the painkiller sedation. This was for the IV saline, I guess just to keep me hydrated or something. I don't know. Or in case they needed to do anything else. I don't really know. But basically, that's the uncomfortable part for me. It was putting the needles into me in the IV, whatever it's called, the IV drip or the IV whatever insertion. That was, it felt a little bit like a bee sting. It felt a little uncomfortable and a little bit stingy, and it just made me feel kind of queasy. And I felt a little faint. I was lying down when they did this, and I said to them, I already feel strange. They kept having me sign forms when I was starting to feel a little different. And they said, oh, well, we haven't given you anything yet other than just saline. And so apparently I think just having something in my bloodstream that was new and different made me feel weird. I'm sensitive. So I could feel my lips starting to feel tingly. I said, my lips feel tingly. And they're like, well, we've only given you saline so far. And I'm like, okay, well, my lips feel tingly. It wasn't unpleasant. It was just my lips felt tingly. And maybe I had a strange taste in my mouth just for a second. And their voices, like they were talking to me, and there was a fan. I think there was air in the room. I could hear a fan in the room with air circulating, and it sounded metallic. I could hear, and when I hear sounds, I see shapes. So I'm very sensitive to sound. And so when I hear sounds, every sound to me has a texture. I see, and I can describe, like, some sounds are velvety, some sounds are metallic, some sounds are like barbed wire, like different sounds I associate with colors and shapes and textures that I see in my own head. Like, I don't hallucinate out there, but in my own mind, I imagine. And when I listen to a song, like Tori Amos talks about sculpting with sound, sonic shapes. And I do sense that when I listen to a U2 song or a Tori Amos or a Tom Petty or a Neil Young or Bob Dylan or Rolling Stones or Beatles or Miles Davis, Jimi Hendrix, Chuck Berry. These are some musicians I love. Little Richard, I saw an amazing documentary about Little Richard. What a cool guy he was. I love Little Richard. These kinds of music and old blues, John Lee Hooker and Muddy Waters and what's that guy's name? Bo Diddley. Tom Petty says, Elvis was king, but Diddley was daddy. And actually, Elvis Presley came to see Little Richard because Little Richard didn't get as much credit as he deserved for all the amazing things he did with music and innovating the way he dressed and expressed himself and danced and moved and expressed himself overall as a sensual man. Elvis came to see Little Richard and said, don't worry, Little Richard, you're the real king. You're the real king, not me. You're the real king. So just to say that, but which I thought was cool. And so here we go. So Little Richard. So these are musicians that I like, and I associate songs and music and even just the sound of a fan I associate with the texture, or the sound of my washer and dryer I associate with different textures. So that made me feel interesting. I could sense that the sounds of the people in the room were metallic. Like they had this weird, they were just in my ears, could hear a distortion. which was strange, almost like somebody put a sound effect on their voices to make them sound more metallic, almost like I was in a recording studio. My friend has a recording studio, and almost like I was in a recording studio and there was a sound effect of metallicness, like they were putting an effect on their voices. And it was very subtle, but it was there. And then my lips were tingly. And then they were wheeling me into the room where they do the procedure, and the lighting changed. And I remember it was kind of like a theater. It felt like a theater. I think in England, they even call it an operating theater, but they don't call it that in the United States. But I have friends in England. But they wheeled me in, and I was saying, I remember it was 3:26 p.m. and I looked and I went, it's 3:26 p.m. It's September 18th, 3:26 p.m., 2023. And I don't know why, I just felt compelled to say that, because honestly, I was afraid that I was never going to wake up. Like, you know, I'm afraid that I was afraid they were to trust them. I was afraid they were going to make a mistake and then I was never going to wake up again. So let's just say that's what it was. It was a fear of losing consciousness and never coming back, or afraid of death or letting go, or just afraid of trusting them. And so and then I said, I'm a spiritual person. My soul is perfect. My body and soul are perfect, and I'm going to be fine no matter what happens. That's what I said out loud in the procedure room, because I think that the sedative they were giving me was starting to have an effect on me, because I remember feeling not shy, because I'm generally a little bit shy and uninhibited. I felt not self-conscious, and like I could just say out loud whatever I thought and not worry about what they thought. Like I didn't feel shy at all, or self-conscious, or worried that they were going to criticize me for saying something strange. So I just went, I'm perfect. My body and soul are perfect, and I'm going to be fine no matter what happens to me during this procedure. And then I said something about my soul is perfect. I'm a spiritual person. And then I said, and I'm a Viking and I'm strong. I'm Norwegian and I'm a Viking and I'm strong, and my tissue is strong. Because I was afraid of, of them accidentally making a mistake and like harming my tissue in some way, which is extremely rare and very unlikely, but it could happen. So things could happen with any procedure, apparently. So, humans are not perfect, but they did a really good job. As far as I can tell, they did an amazing job on me, because I don't even feel sore today at all. But and then I looked at, and then the anesthesiologist, and I said, I'm a little dyslexic, because she said, please turn to your left side. And I said, oh, I'm a little dyslexic. And she went, oh, that's fine. Go this side. And I went, okay, this side, left side. I'm also left-handed. So I kind of knew what was left, but I'm left-handed, but a little dyslexic at times. And so, although usually I know left and right, I usually mess up on other kinds of instructions. Like if they say some other kind of weird instructions, like move this way and then this way and then that way, and if it's like some complicated instructions or the chronological order of things, I sometimes, like when I watch a movie, I sometimes can't follow the plot, because I don't remember the chronological order of things that are happening, or what character. I get confused, not with left and right, but with, I can't explain it, but other kinds of directions I sometimes flip sideways or backwards. And it's a talent with art when you're a little dyslexic. I think a lot of artists are dyslexic, and musicians probably too. I think it helps you be more creative. When you're dyslexic, you sort of don't really know what the rules are, and you just do things sideways and backwards, and you don't even know you're doing it backwards or sideways. You just do it. That's part of being creative, I think, is just to play around and experiment. So there it is. So, okay, to break things up and make it more artistic, I will say, here is a painting. I think I showed this last video when I was moody, and this painter sent me the original painting. This painter sent me this painting, which was amazing, of her. Amy Scherer, I think is her name. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but Amy, thank you for this. And I'm just wanted to share this on camera. Okay. And then I'm going to be in an art show. Oh, these are the glittery shoes that I found at the thrift store, and then I glued rhinestones But okay, there's some of that. This is my new favorite painting I'm working on that's not quite finished. These are abstract shapes. And here's another one. I'll just share a couple. I'm going to do 8 different ones of these, but I'll do that in another video where I focus. Okay, I'm trying to focus. Okay, so I'm an artist and my colonoscopy. So then I turned to my left and then the anesthesiologist said, go to your happy place and just relax and you're just going to get some rest and everything's going to be fine. She just said a lot of verbal things that were comforting. And it was really nice of her because, and then I said, oh, okay, well, I'm at the beach and Tom Petty is playing guitar and singing a song. And she's like, okay, that sounds nice. I'm there with you. Okay, Tom Petty sings a song to us. And I was thinking I was at the beach and there was in San Diego where I grew up, there's a campfire and I'm sitting there and Tom Petty is with his acoustic guitar singing a beautiful song. So there it is. So then I don't remember after that other than, well, I do. The whole time they were doing the procedure, I think my eyes were half open because I remember lying there on my side and I remember hearing them talking. Like I think they were using the camera to view my tissue, my colon tissue. And I can just hear them talking and saying whatever medical terms about how to move the camera to the right position, or, I don't know what they were saying, but I heard them talking the whole time. And I remember feeling like I'm just resting. This is very pleasant. I feel good. It must have been because the dopamine centers of my brain apparently were activated or triggered or reinforced or whatever they call it in brain chemistry terms. The dopamine centers of my brain, which is associated with pleasure. Like if you hug somebody or kiss somebody that you love, and if a mother gives birth to a baby and she hugs and kisses her baby and is affectionate, I think that also has like endorphins and dopamine, serotonin, all of the good neurotransmitters that make us feel happy. I think when you eat chocolate or some delicious food, whatever your favorite dessert is or your favorite meal, you probably have dopamine released into your brain. It's basically pleasure. When you do something that's pleasurable, you get that good feeling, like listen to a song that you love, depending on how sensitive you are. See, I'm very sensitive, and when I listen to music that I love, I get really kind of high from it, and like a natural high. I get happy when I listen to music and when I'm affectionate with a friend that I love. So I was feeling euphoric. I was lying there feeling like I was getting a really good sleep. And I have a hard time falling asleep in my own bed. Like I'm not really an insomniac, but ever since I was a little kid, it takes me like over an hour just to fall asleep. I don't fall asleep easily, and I drift in and out of sleep and I toss and turn. And so I felt like, oh, I'm actually resting now. I remember feeling like a deep sense of restfulness. And I remember feeling calm and peaceful and euphoric. When I woke up is when I really felt euphoric. But when I was lying there and I had Tom Petty's into the great wide open, under the skies of blue, out in the great wide open, a rebel without a clue. I had that song in my head because that song is very expansive. My friend joked with me and said, into the great wide open. Yeah, he said they were into your great wide open because they were looking inside my colon, into your great wide open. But yeah, but I wasn't thinking of it that way. I was thinking of it like the great wide open, like if I never wake up from this, that's okay because I'm in the great wide open, and I'll be with Tom Petty then, and my spirit will float off and be with Tom Petty or something, but in the spirit world or something. But I had the Tom Petty song in my head the whole time, in the back of my head, like it was like a radio station playing in the back of my head, into the great wide open, and thinking about being at the beach with Tom Petty. And just the vibe was like, I'm at the beach, there's Tom Petty, there's a campfire, we're at the ocean in San Diego, we're in La Jolla, we're at La Jolla Shores in San Diego. And I just felt really happy. And then And I could hear what they were saying, and I kept thinking to myself, I want to look at because I think my eyes were half open and I could kind of see a video screen. I could see that they were with the camera looking at a screen to try to take photos or videos of my colon to make sure I was healthy. And so I kept thinking to myself, oh, I want to, but my body couldn't do it. I was just lying there and I felt like I didn't really want to move, or maybe I physically couldn't move. I was just really asleep, half asleep. So it's so strange to be half asleep. I wasn't fully unconscious. I was definitely could hear. And they also put oxygen, well, also made me feel good, is they put gently put like those things in your nostrils where they give you a little extra oxygen, and that felt really good. So a little bit of extra oxygen in my nose felt good. And so maybe that's why I felt good. I felt uplifted. I felt uplifted and very like I was getting really good rest. And I felt, and then I could hear what they were saying, but I didn't understand. So almost like it was not English. Like I could hear people talking, speaking English, but I didn't know what any of the words meant. That was interesting. Like it was almost like it was a foreign language that sounded pleasant, but I didn't know what they were saying. And then I could see a screen, but my eyes were sort of half closed, I think, or I wasn't fully aware of what I was seeing, but I knew it was a screen. And I remember thinking, oh, I'd like to look to see what they're doing. Oh, I'd like to observe that. But I just didn't, I never did. I just lied there and let them do their thing, thinking that, oh, I kind of liked, but I wasn't worried about it. I was kind of like, oh, I kind of like to look. Oh, I guess I'll just lie here and just rest. And so that was interesting. So I just rested. And then and then I don't even remember them wheeling me back into the wake you up room. I don't remember. Oh, okay. There's a noise that I'm hearing. I don't remember them wheeling me back into the other room. I only remember them saying, okay, Shannon, now you're starting to wake up now. We're everything went fine. We didn't see any abnormalities or polyps or anything of any concern. Your colon looks healthy and clean and smooth. And they just said those kind of words to me. And they went, and you're waking up, and now we're going to call your friend. And because when you do these colonoscopies, you have to have a friend that is going to drop you off and pick you up. And so they called him, my good friend, Dave, and he came and picked me up, and he came into the room and helped me get dressed because I was kind of laughing because my body felt a little weird. And so I remember waking up and feeling happy, and I looked at the curtain, and it was just a medical curtain that had a pattern on it, although I really love patterns and fabric. So I appreciate carpet. Like when I go to hotels, I'm always looking at the carpet if there's a pattern. And when I went to Las Vegas, I loved the carpet. So I'm really sensitive to patterns and fabric design. I'm kind of a designer myself, and so I love shapes and colors. I'm very sensitive to it. So I remember thinking, and I said out loud, "Ooh, that fabric is so beautiful. The curtain is so beautiful." It just looked extra special to me. I thought the curtain looked extra special, and I remember, and I cried. I cried because I was afraid at the beginning, and they gave me a tissue, and then at the end when I woke up, tears were streaming down my cheeks, and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm happy. I'm just happy that I'm alive, and I'm just happy I made it through because I was scared, and now I'm happy that I made it through this." And I just tend to cry a lot. So I just had tears streaming down my cheeks, but I was feeling happy. I was feeling, and I dabbed, they gave me tissue. And so my friend he said, here, make a video before you forget. And so I made a short video that I put on my YouTube channel that's like 2 minutes, I think. And I just talked about waking up from the sedation and how I felt, and just describing it, that it felt kind of magical. And I've since learned that when I had my breast reduction surgery in 1993 and when I had my colonoscopy in 2023, wow, is that 30 years apart? The medications they gave me are different, but both of them apparently affect the dopamine part of your brain. So apparently, and the one antidepressant I took that actually made me feel a little bit better, but I decided I don't want to take any medication. So I'm totally off. I'm not taking any medications. I want my brain to just be on its own, and work with my diet and exercise and lifestyle for my mental health. But dopamine, because serotonin, apparently if I take a medication that helps my serotonin increase or whatever, that didn't really do anything for me. It didn't make me feel any better. But dopamine, when I took something that helped my dopamine increase, that really made me feel kind of happy. So euphoric. And so there's other ways, there's natural ways to increase dopamine. And that is, like I said before, pleasure. Affection, massage, music, art, theater, dance, whatever you love, like anything that you love, walking in nature, looking at kittens and puppies, petting. When I see goats, I feel happy. I love animals. I love goats. When goats jump and hop around, that makes me laugh and smile, and goats and pigs and cows and chickens. And I like going to farms. I love animals. So I love nature, birds, so if you do anything that you enjoy and you love, apparently it helps your dopamine system of your brain or whatever. I'm not meaning to, when I say things, I know I don't sound scientific at all, but I'm just saying the pleasure center of your brain affects your brain chemistry and all the different chemicals in your brain that make you feel happy. You can get an endorphin high from exercise, like if you run for 20 minutes or get your heart rate up. You can get what they call runner's high. So basically doing more things, because I felt so happy after this procedure, and I know it's because of the dopamine in my brain. I think I also felt a sense of relief that I got through a stressful situation and that they took good care of me, and I was relieved that they did a good job and I was safe and everything was fine, because I was afraid of, letting go and trusting them. So thank you to all of those people that gave me a colonoscopy yesterday, the whole team of medical professionals. I appreciate what they did, and they did a good job. And they were really nice to me in regards to helping soothe my mental health fragileness, which is that I have a lot of anxiety sometimes, and I get nervous and afraid to trust people. So they were all very nice. They had to practice a little psychotherapy skills to try to help calm, I mean, I was polite, but I was clearly very scared. Like my face turned bright red. My blood pressure went up. They measured it because my blood pressure is usually like 110 over 60 something. And it went up to like 137 over 90 or 80 or I don't know what. But then it went right back down when they talked to me. They took it again and it calmed down to my normal healthy blood pressure, thankfully. Calmed it, she's like, go to your Zen place, go to your Zen place. So that's what I did. So I woke up feeling happy. I made a video, and this just reminds me. And also I like doing the liquid diet. On the day before the colonoscopy, they had me do a liquid only diet. Aside from the popsicles I ate that weren't that healthy for me, and the gummy bears, the day before that, I had gummy bears, which are not healthy for me, but I was supposed to just refrain from eating solid foods. And so I was eating gummy bears to help me get through that. But when I was just drinking broth, I drank vegetable broth, beef broth, chicken broth, any kind of broth. If it's really soothing. So I'm thinking maybe one day a week I'll just drink broth and just do liquids one day a week to give my body a rest from digesting solid foods. And it felt really good and soothing. So I might do that. And what was I going to say? So I just want to do a video about my colonoscopy and about feeling like I need more happy endorphins in my brain, like dopamine and endorphins, whatever they're called, in my brain. So I'm going to do more things to elicit that, because I've been kind of stressed out lately. I've been getting angry and grumpy, and I feel like if I make myself do things that are uncomfortable too much, then I get really grumpy. So I need more time doing things I love, which is music, art, nature, affection, taking care of animals, petting dogs and cats, and being around goats and chickens and pigs and cows and horses. And I love the way horses smell. Horses smell good to me. Animals smell good to me. The different farm animals smell good. When I walk through the forest, when I smell rosemary and lavender, and I smell the pine trees, I smell cedar and pine and all the beautiful things that smell good in nature, and eating delicious food, giving and receiving back massages with friends who I love, and making my art, when I drive around in my art car and people smile at me and they're happy to see my sparkly rhinestone car that I call Opal Moonstone. These are things that make me feel happy, and I think the world needs more happiness and joy. And not to deny that there's sadness and fear and pain and all of that. I don't want to deny any of that and sugarcoat it. But all the more reason, I think it was Patti Smith, the musician Patti Smith, who said, that's all the more reason, because there's so much tragedy and pain on this planet and suffering, all the more reason to try to love and celebrate being alive and share love and joy and affection with people and plants and animals whenever you can, to try to build up the beauty of being on this earth and being alive. So I'm really grateful that I'm alive. This is Shannon Kringen, Goddess KRING, signing off for today. I'll do another video about my artwork and maybe show my art and talk about, I'm going to be in an art show in November 18th in 2023. I'll share more about that later because that's a public event. And so thank you for listening. ShannonKringen.com is my main website, or you can just Google Goddess KRING or Shannon Kringen to find my music, art, visual art, music, photos, paintings, poetry, music, random improvisational lifestyle art. There's a guy that does Hug Nation, and now he does gratitude, John Halcyon Stin. He's a great guy. He has the Hug Mobile. He recently was talking about Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin, the producer, he was saying that, and my mom put me in alternative school, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And instead of being indoctrinated with non-creative education, we were encouraged. As a little kid, I was encouraged. I went to a school called Tamanaus and Abraxas. In San Diego, it was called Abraxas. On Whidbey Island, it was called Tamanaus. And so John Halcyon Stin reminded me of Rick Rubin recently, because I listened to lots of podcasts where Rick Rubin talks about creativity and mental health and joy, and how artists need freedom to explore and do their own thing, and how instead of trying to make music or art that the audience would like, you need to please yourself as an artist. You need to do what you love with your music or your visual art, and then you share it with the audience and let them think whatever they want. And whoever your real audience is will love it, and whoever doesn't like it, that's not your audience. But you need to focus on doing what you love instead of worrying about what the audience thinks. And so I agree with that, and just being creative and having freedom of thought. And I was raised by an artist mother who was into Eastern philosophy and visual art in her own unique way. Both my parents are also very critical, so that's the dark side of it, is that I got a bit neglected and both my parents are critical. That's the dark side of my childhood. But the other side, my childhood is very checkerboard. It's very much, in some ways, my parents are amazing people. Like, they're very sensitive and intelligent, and my dad is into tennis, comedy, and music. And to this day, he's a personal fitness trainer, and he's 80, he's 79 or 80. He's a personal fitness trainer. He's super fit and healthy, and it's inspiring to me. And he volunteers at the Humane Society and helps animals. I mean, he's a great guy. My dad, in some ways, is a great guy. There's also this competitive, passive aggressive, critical thing that my dad and I have that is not, that's the part that isn't very wonderful and nurturing, but the other part is very positive and wonderful. And so my parents raised me 4th, 5th, and 6th grade in alternative school. And John Halcyon Stin talks about this on now he has Gratitude podcast. He used to have Hug Nation, and he recently went to the Burning Man where they had all the mud, and he said he did a really cool video about no mud, no lotus. And so how you can take anything and turn it into like a learning experience and an opportunity for more love and more growth and more beauty. And so I'm very inspired by that, Rick Rubin and John Halcyon Stin. If you look him up online, he has lots of videos. He has a YouTube channel and lots of videos, and I'm inspired by these people. So more happy brain chemicals. I want to do more things that help bring joy to my brain chemistry and spread that with family and friends and all my jobs where I work with medical students, art students, and animals and plants. And I volunteer somewhere out in nature as well. And my art car brings joy. So these are all the things that are inspiring me right now. September 19th, 2023. Enjoy yourself. Be yourself no matter what they say is a line from a Sting song that I love. So, and remember, Tom Petty widens my jetty. Who widens your jetty? Meaning it reinforces me and inspires me and reminds me to be true to myself and follow my heart, follow my soul, follow my dreams. So ocean beam, come clean, manifesting dreams. So there, inner energy, life force, come forth. That's part of a poem that I wrote. So ocean beam, come clean, manifesting dreams. Inner energy, life force, come forth. Basically meaning do what you love and follow your heart. It's as simple as that, or, follow your own intuition about things. So there it is. Okay. Thanks for listening. This is Shannon Kringen, Goddess KRING. Thanks for being here with me. Whoever listened to this, I'm definitely going to listen to this. I don't know who else is going to listen, but I need to not worry. I need to just do what I love. And hopefully it'll have a positive ripple effect on the universe. Bye for now. Bye. Good luck in doing what you love. I encourage you to do whatever you love, whatever that is.